Alrighty, so today is finally the day that a lot of MLS fans, including myself, has been waiting for, and that, of course, is the unveil of the 2024 MLS regular season schedule. Now, obviously, I feel like this year there's much more anticipation because this is the year where I'm pretty sure all of these Western Conference teams and their fans are hoping that they get the lucky lottery of playing against Inter Miami and playing against Messi and his friends, and especially for some teams that especially hit the lucky lottery of able to host against Inter Miami in some of these games, and I'll talk about which team won the lucky lottery in just a bit. But first of all, the season actually is going to be starting on Wednesday, so this is definitely going to be the first time we've seen in the league history where it starts in the middle of the week. It usually start on the weekend, though. The reason why they start on Wednesday is because they have to make sure that the first game of the season involving Inter Miami and Messi and his company. And indeed, the first game will be happening on Wednesday. It will be Inter Miami versus RSL on February 21st. This is also not something that is unusual in terms of the league decided to have their first game that is going to be involving one team. It's kind of like a feature game, and in fact, I feel like the league should have more of that because you see other league in Europe, the Bundesliga basically do that when they start the season. They have their long Friday game, and even the Premier League is following the suit as that, having their first game of the season kicking off on Friday. Though I kind of feel like for this one they probably should have just done it on Friday. I mean, I get, yes, Inter Miami does have a very tight schedule, and that's going to be something we're going to be discussing through this video for teams that will have a very tight schedule, especially for teams that's going to be involving in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. But I feel like they should have done it on Friday. I mean, it's kind of weird they do it on Wednesday, but it's also not weird the fact that you knew this was coming with the way that with the league really want to keep the momentum of the Messi mania in MLS. It's got to be a feature game to begin with. That being said, in terms of when the season does end, it's gonna end on October 19th, and that's the regular season that is, because Decision Day 2024 will be happening on October 19th, and the start time is pretty much the same as last year. Eastern Conference match will start at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, and Western Conference match will start at 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. And then I want to also congratulate LA Galaxy, Sporting KC, and Vancouver Whitecaps fans. So this is where I talked about earlier, who of course won the lucky lottery of being able to see Messi play if you're a Western Conference team. Because if you're an Eastern Conference team, you're going to have a chance to see Messi play, unless unfortunately your Eastern Conference team is playing during one of those international break, which I actually didn't check to see whether or not if MLS decided to not play during the international break, because that's been one of the things that they mentioned that MLS teams should not be playing during the international break. That was one of the changes that was supposed to put, but I guess maybe that's not the case because I didn't see any of the things in this article talk about some of the key things to look out for the 2024 regular season that says that they're not going to be playing through the international break. So yeah, if you're an Eastern Conference team and you just happen to play against Inter Miami during the international break, my sincere condolences have to be toward you. But still, for these three Western Conference teams, the Galaxy, Sporting KC, and Vancouver, they won the lucky lottery of able to see Messi play in person out of the Western Conference. So, I don't know about Vancouver situation because, one of the problem with Vancouver is that they're one of the few stadium in the league that still plays on turf. And one of the things that Messi have mentioned is that he doesn't want to play on turf. So yeah, we'll see how Vancouver is going to compromise. I mean, I'm pretty sure Whitecaps fans are very excited, but they're basically praying their team that make sure they either lay grass at BC plays or the fact that they have to hope that Messi would agree to play on turf, because that won't be a problem for Galaxy and Sporting KC. They play uh their game on natural grass. And the good news also for LA Galaxy and Sporting KC fan, when they do play against Inter Miami, it doesn't fall on an international break. Now, the other thing that is key coming into this regular season schedule is the 7:30 p.m. kickoff is still going to be a norm. So this is one of the things that was hotly debated last season about the 7:30 p.m. kickoff, where I mean, I get why the league wants to do that because they want to keep making sure that all these games kick off around the time where they can be can be benefit in terms of the MLS 360 and the whip around show that they have, which that show I really hope that it will improve heading into this season. I mean, last season it was good and it got better as the season goes along, but I still feel like it could have done much better, and we'll see whether or not that improves this season. But yeah, that's kind of the whole reason why they decided to have the 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Though I will say that I did look at the beginning part of the schedule. There are definitely more Sunday games this year, and there's definitely more early kickoff game than what we saw last season. And I think that's a good thing because one, you want to have variety of kickoff. A lot of people complain that with 7:30 kickoff, it's not really a friendly kickoff for families to attend 10 games, but the criticism of the 7:30 kickoff, especially in the East Coast, it's way too cold to play these game at night game. There's a reason why before the Apple TV deal, we usually never see games in the out in the Eastern Conference that is a night game because it's just way too cold to play at nighttime. And while some of these early kickoff are going to be suitable for teams in the East and especially in colder weather kind of situation. I believe Minnesota actually their home opener is against Columbus, and I'm using Minnesota as an example because Minnesota is probably the one team that play in probably the coldest environment out of any team in MLS. But in their home opener, last year they actually played their home opener at nighttime, and that was kind of like a snow opener too because there was snow falling in the ground. It didn't really fall as the game goes along, but it was count as kind of a snow opener, and we could maybe see another one similar to that, but it is going to be a day game when they take on the defending MLS Cup champion against Columbus. And again, it makes sense because as much as I think Minnesota fans won't mind to play in weather that is super cold at nighttime. I mean, heck, that game was sold out despite the fact that it was snowing before the game was over. No, I don't think that might be the case for other fans in the Eastern Conference, and that again, it's good that this year they have more early kickoff, but I feel like they should continue to do so and separate it, and especially as the season goes along, I think that's when these early kickoffs start to disappear, and we're kind of going back to what we were last season, where there was very few games that started besides 7:30 p.m. starts. Now, Heineken Rivalry Week this year is going to be between May 11 and May 18, so this is where you're going to see some of the biggest rivalry that is going to be happening in MLS. Definitely early for this season in terms of Heineken Rivalry Week, because usually Heineken Rivalry is in the middle of the summer, but this year it's going to be on the 11th and on the 18th. And El Tráfico will be back at the Rose Bowl. So, despite the fact that there was reports suggesting that the Galaxy could be playing against Inter Miami at the Rose Bowl, it seems like that rumor turns out to be false, and instead it's going to be El Tráfico again at the Rose Bowl on 4th of July, and I feel like that might be a tradition that we could be seeing in the near future. I mean, in some way, it's kind of an accidental tradition too, because last year, that the El Tráfico game at the Rose Bowl should have been played if it wasn't for inclement weather in the LA area, but yeah, it seems like they had a lot of success in terms of last year when they host the game on the 4th of July. I mean, over 81,000 fans attended that game. That is the largest single attended MLS game to this day, and it feels like they're going to run it back in terms of this year, and hope that it's going to start a tradition that we're going to see the El Tráfico that's going to be played at the Rose Bowl on the 4th of July. And another tradition that we could also be start to see is Cinco de Mayo involving the Quakes versus LAFC, because they're also running it back in terms of playing against LAFC at Levi's Stadium. Now, when I heard the Quakes, of course, playing at Levi's Stadium, I was really hoping the fact that it was Inter Miami that was the team that they're going to be playing. But no, it seems like they said it's going to be LAFC, and I think that's also when I realized the Quakes probably are not going to be playing against Miami this season, especially at home, because I don't think the Quakes will be playing two games at Levi Stadium. They usually only play one game. So yeah, that of course is going to be maybe a start of a tradition. And last year it was pretty successful too. I mean, not only the fact that the Quakes beat LAFC on Cinco de Mayo at Levi Stadium, but 45,000 fans attended that game. It's pretty good attendance for a Quakes game at Levi Stadium. I think it's the highest uh, that they had at Levi Stadium compared to the other games that they play at Levi Stadium before. So that again could be a tradition that we should are seeing besides the Quakes playing against the other LA team at Stanford, which that tradition will once again return on June 27th. And then of course the MLS Cup rematch is going to be happening on July 13th at BMO Stadium. So every year, we always have the MLS Cup rematch in the regular season, and this year it's going to be happening on July 13th. Now it's not going to be happening at Lower Dog Field. It's going to be happening at BMO Stadium, so it should be interesting to see how that's going to turn out. And then, of course, the All Star game this year, which I won't be surprised this year, the All Star game will be probably the most expensive All Star game and the most hotly sell All Star game of all time because we know this year probably Messi is going to be in the All Star game, and knowing the fact that if he is going to be on the All Star game, tickets are going to be really expensive. And this is where I've said last year that I was thinking about want to attend the All Star game. I might take that back. I mean, I do want to see Messi play in person, but I think I'd rather do that in watch him play in Miami rather than like at an All Star game or even on the road too, because you know that these teams on the road in the Eastern Conference or even some of these lucky teams in the Western Conference, they're going to jack up the price when Messi comes to play against them in their home club. So, and especially in an All Star game in such a game that showcased the best talent in MLS. I won't be surprised. Tickets is going to be right up there in terms of MLS Cup tickets. I mean, I know Columbus Crew fans were kind of complaining the fact that MLS Cup ticket was hard to get, but mainly because I thought this year, in terms of what I heard from the average MLS Cup ticket, it was actually relatively cheaper than previous season. But that's not going to be the case when the All Star game rolls in Columbus. I will not be surprised. This might be the most expensive All Star game, even more expensive than last year when the All Star game was in DC, where the tickets were just ridiculous when they play against Arsenal. It was like $400 and so forth, which. That's like almost four times, even five times more than I pay to go to the All Star game at Allianz Field. I mean, I can't believe I went to the All Star game at Allianz Field and only paid like $90 for that. That is that like there are teams that basically charge you more to go attend a regular season game than actually the All Star tickets that I of course win. So I'm very thankful that Minnesota did not charge their fans just ridiculous amount of money to see an All Star game, especially in a cathedral like Allianz Field. Now, the League Cup break will be between July 26th and August 25th. Now, obviously, the League Cup has involved a lot of controversy alongside with the U.S. Open Cup, and especially from what I talk about today of the fact that it feels like MLS team are basically now forced to play in the U.S. Open Cup after the U.S. Soccer Federation said, yeah, they're not going to allow MLS team to put their next pro team in the competition and replace them in that slot. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how whether that's going to be resolved, and especially the Leeds Cup. A lot of fans have already said they're boycotting this competition. They're not going to pay attention to this competition. Mainly, this is really one of the reason why teams are not participating in the U.S. Open Cup. So yeah, that should be interesting thing to see if that of course is the case. But also, the other thing that this season there was a discussion of whether or not if there is going to be a break in the Copa America because it's happening here in the U.S. The answer is no. In fact, there's not even going to be like a Gold Cup style kind of break that we saw last season. Games will still happen between June 19th and July 13th. So again, this is also where if you're an Eastern Conference team and you just happen to play against Inter Miami during that time, I definitely send my condolences because most likely Messi will not be playing with Inter Miami during that time. And that also kind of frustrates a lot of team too because this is a time where they're gonna lose all of their South American player that's gonna be called by their international team during this Copa America. And I get that they don't really have a lot of space to afford to have a bit of a mini break in Copa America before things are kicking off, but it also kind of doesn't help the fact that they decided to not have any break whatsoever. And I have a feeling there's going to be some MLS team and fans and even coaches are going to be really upset about the fact that, well, we're basically running on a shoestring kind of roster now because all our players are on international duty. And this is also where we go back to the new rules that they've created by the board governor a couple of weeks ago, and how people are still upset the fact that they didn't do enough in terms of trying to improve the roster, especially expand the roster so it can accompany this situation of, well, what happened when MLS team are in a tightly fit schedule, and especially losing player during international break. Yeah, they basically have no backup up plan, and basically are forced to basically play a second string players in these competitive regular season game. Then we also know that MLS Cup 2024 will be happening on December 7th, and because of that, that basically makes me think that the playoff structure is going to be the same heading into this season, and that's been a big discussion this season too about the playoff structure. I even did a video talking about that itself, and there's been some people said that it should change, but it feels like it's not going to be changing next season either. It's going to be the same thing where it's probably going to be the best of three in the first round, and then we have the international break, and then it's boom, 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 and next thing you know, it's MLS Cup 2024 on December 7th. There's also going to be free midweek games between May and June, and the reason why I want to mention that is because that's usually the time when we see MLS team involved in the US Open Cup, and this is where I go back to saying earlier in today's video, when they do release the schedule today, I wonder whether they're going to have to force to make some changes in terms of schedule during this time when MLS team are basically forced to play in the U.S. Open Cup, because the U.S. Soccer Federation literally just told MLS that, yeah, we're not going to let you not participate in this tournament and use your MLS Next Pro team as a way to to participate in this tournament. So that should be interesting to see whether if they're going to change the schedule. Though I will say that they should have enough room to even if they don't want to change the schedule, they still have some room to play some of these knockout round kind of U.S. Open Cup game. But I won't be surprised that they would decide to move the schedule if they realize that, oh yeah, seems like now we are basically forcing our hands to play in the U.S. Open Cup, and that our alternative plan then that decided to just put our MLS Next Pro team, which has pissed off pretty much all the fans around MLS, just does not work whatsoever. And then lastly, in terms of the structure and how each of these team are going to be playing throughout the regular season, what team they play, well, it's pretty much the same as last year. For Eastern Conference team, they will have two games against inter-conference matchups, so they'll play two games against teams that is in their conference, and they'll be playing one game against six teams that is in the other conference. So for Eastern Conference, they will have to play six Western Conference team throughout the season. Now in the Western Conference, it's against the same thing, two games against teams that is in your conference. But what's kind of interesting about the Western Conference is that there is going to be one or two opponents that you're going to be playing three times a season, and we saw that last year. It's going to return this season where you're going to have to. There's going to be teams that you're going to be playing three times instead of two. And then in terms of playing against Eastern Conference teams, some team will get six or seven interconference kind of matchup. And one thing I'll say about these interconference matchup, I feel like MLS should do what the NFL basically do, where they rotate in terms of the team that you get to play each season, because I've been seeing some of the teams that I root for that play against Eastern Conference team. It feels like every single season I feel like these are the same team that we've been playing every year, and I'm kind of disappointed by that, because I want variety to be the case. I mean, ever since now that we're going with an unbalanced schedule and that we don't see a lot of interconference matchup as much as what we see but before, I feel like there should be a case where we should be seeing teams that gets to play a certain team from the different conference. They should be able to play another different team. They shouldn't be playing the same team almost every single season or every other year, because then it just started to get boring, and this is also where fans are kind of complaining the fact that, oh, we had a chance to play against Inter Miami because we never played them. Oh, wait, no, we don't get to play them because we're playing the same Cincinnati team that we play every single season out of the West, or every other years or so forth. And also, this is not to diss Cincinnati in general. I'm just using that as an example. But yeah, either way, let me know in the comments below. What do you think of some of the key points coming into this 2024 MLS regular season? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.